You sat down to meditate expecting peace. Instead, your chest tightened and every thought you've been avoiding rushed in at once. You downloaded the app, set the timer for 10 minutes, closed your eyes like they told you to, and within 90 seconds your brain was screaming, not with calm, with everything you've been too busy to feel, the argument from last Tuesday. The thing you said 3 years ago that still makes you cringe, the decision you keep postponing, all of it all at once, louder than it's ever been. You opened your eyes thinking something went wrong, nothing went wrong. This is exactly what meditation does. Because here's the truth nobody puts in the meditation ads: stillness doesn't create peace. Stillness removes the distractions that were covering up the chaos. You thought you were anxious because of your schedule, your notifications, your endless to-do list, so you eliminated the noise, and discovered the noise was never the problem. The noise was the anesthetic. You weren't calming down. You were waking up to what's actually been there the whole time, running in the background like a program you forgot you installed. Dr. Judson Brewer at Brown University ran fMRI scans on experienced meditators. What he found wasn't relaxation, it was activation. Specifically, the posterior cingulate cortex lit up like a highway during rush hour. That's the part of your brain responsible for self-referential processing. Translation: meditation doesn't quiet your mind. It turns up the volume on the narrator that's been talking about you to you all day long. The voice you've been drowning out with podcasts and scroll sessions, and staying busy until you collapse. I started meditating in 2019 because I couldn't sleep. Everyone said it would help. Day one, I made it 4 minutes before I quit, not because I was bored, because I suddenly remembered with perfect clarity that I hadn't called my father back in 3 weeks. Then I remembered why I hadn't called him back. Then I remembered the last conversation we had, then every conversation before that. 4 minutes of sitting still, and I had excavated 15 years of avoidance I'd successfully buried under productivity and achievement, and keeping my calendar full. Psychologists call this experiential avoidance. It's the process of running from internal experiences, thoughts, memories, emotions, bodily sensations that feel intolerable. You're not avoiding meditation, you're avoiding what meditation makes you face. The difference is crucial. When you scroll, you're moving. When you work late, you're productive. When you binge a series, you're relaxing. Every action has a justification that sounds reasonable, until you sit still and realize none of it was about the action. It was about not feeling what's underneath. Your brain is designed for motion, for threat detection, for problem solving, for survival. Stillness isn't its natural state. So when you force it into stillness, it does what it always does when it can't run: it fights. It throws everything at you. Your unfinished projects, your unresolved relationships, your unspoken resentments. That thing you're pretending doesn't bother you. The gap between who you say you are and who you actually are when nobody's watching. All of it surfaces not because meditation summons it, but because you finally stopped running fast enough to outpace it. A 2018 study published in PLOS1 tracked 1,232 regular meditators. 63% reported at least one negative experience: anxiety, panic, emotional upheaval, confrontation with trauma they didn't know they were carrying. The researchers called it meditation-related adverse effects. But that language misses the point. These aren't side effects. This is the effect. Meditation isn't malfunctioning when it makes you uncomfortable. It's working exactly as designed. The calm comes later, if it comes at all. First comes the reckoning. You've been operating at maximum capacity for so long that you think constant motion is normal. You think the racing thoughts are just how thinking works. You think the tightness in your chest is just stress, and stress is just part of being responsible. Meditation doesn't add the anxiety. It reveals that the anxiety has been there all along, humming at a frequency you taught yourself not to hear. The moment you sit down and close your eyes, the frequency doesn't change. Your ability to ignore it does. And that's terrifying. On day 6, I tried again, made it 8 minutes this time. The thoughts were still there, but something shifted. I stopped trying to make them go away, started watching them instead. And I noticed something I'd never noticed before: the thoughts weren't random. They followed a pattern. Every thought was either replaying something I couldn't change or rehearsing something I was afraid of. Past or future, regret or anxiety, never present. I wasn't thinking, I was looping. And I'd been looping for so long, I thought the loop was just who I was. Cognitive behavioral therapy identifies this as rumination. Repetitive negative thinking about past events or potential future threats. It feels productive, like you're solving something. Like if you just think about it one more time, you'll find the answer. You won't. The answer isn't in the thinking is the problem. Meditation doesn't solve rumination by replacing negative thoughts with positive ones. It shows you that you're not your thoughts at all, that there's a you underneath the thinking. And that you has been suffocating under the weight of a mind that never shuts up. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. The things that surface during meditation aren't accusations. They're data. Your mind is showing you exactly what you've been protecting yourself from, and here's the twist. The protection is causing more damage than the thing you're protecting yourself from. You're not avoiding the difficult conversation with your partner because it's too hard. You're avoiding it because avoiding it lets you keep pretending the relationship is fine. You're not procrastinating on the career change because you're scared of failure. You're procrastinating because starting would mean admitting you've been unhappy for years. A meta-analysis of 47 meditation studies by Johns Hopkins found that meditation's effectiveness isn't in reducing symptoms. It's in changing your relationship to the symptoms. The anxiety doesn't necessarily decrease. Your reaction to the anxiety does. You stop treating uncomfortable emotions as emergencies that need immediate resolution. You start treating them as information. Sadness isn't a problem to fix. It's feedback that something matters to you that you're not honoring. Anger isn't a character flaw. It's a boundary that's been crossed. Meditation teaches you to read the signals instead of suppressing the alarm. By week 3, I could sit for 20 minutes, but it wasn't peaceful. It was brutal. I watched myself mentally rehearse a conversation with my boss 14 times in a row, each time with a slightly different script, none of which I would ever actually say. I watched myself scroll through an argument from 2 months ago, editing my responses, winning retroactively. I watched my mind do everything possible to avoid being exactly where I was. Sitting on a cushion, breathing alive, with nothing to fix and nowhere to go. This is the paradox nobody warned you about. You're not afraid of your thoughts. You're afraid of the space between them. That gap where there's no problem to solve, no identity to perform, no role to play, just awareness, just being. And being without doing feels like dying. Because your entire sense of self is built on doing, on achieving, on moving toward or away from something. Meditation strips that away, not to punish you. To show you that the you that remains when you stop performing is still here. Still real. Month 2, something changed, not suddenly, not like enlightenment in the movies. I was sitting there watching the same thought loop for the 100th time, the one about whether I should have taken that job in Boston 5 years ago, and instead of engaging with it, I just noticed it. Oh, this one again, like seeing an old commercial, and in that noticing there was distance. The thought was still there, but I wasn't in it, I was watching it. And for the first time in my adult life, I understood the difference between having a thought and being consumed by it. Dr. Richard Davidson's research at UW-Madison measured this shift. Long-term meditators showed decreased activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, not because they experienced less threat, but because they stopped interpreting every uncomfortable emotion as a threat. Their brains literally rewired to treat discomfort as neutral data instead of emergency signals. The calm didn't come from avoiding the storm. It came from standing in the middle of it and realizing the storm was just weather, that you could watch it pass without becoming it. That's not relaxation, that's freedom. If I knew this earlier, I would have stopped searching for the right meditation app, the perfect technique, the session that would finally make everything quiet. Because that's not what any of this is for. Meditation isn't a treatment for anxiety. It's exposure therapy for the avoidance that's been feeding your anxiety for years. Every session where you feel like you're failing, where the thoughts won't stop, where you can't concentrate, where you want to quit, is actually the session where you're doing the real work. You're not transcending your humanity, you're finally meeting it. The goal was never to eliminate the difficult thoughts. It was to stop being so afraid of them that you organize your entire life around not feeling them. To stop checking your phone 17 times during dinner because sitting with your own mind feels unbearable. To stop saying yes to things you hate because disappointing someone else is easier than disappointing yourself. To stop running so fast that you never have to face the question underneath all the motion, what do I actually want? Not what I should want, not what would impress anyone, what do I want? So yes, meditation will make you anxious. It will surface every unresolved thing you've been pushing down. It will show you the gap between your life and your values. It will make you confront the person you've been pretending not to be and the person you're afraid to become. It will feel like the opposite of self-care. But here's what happens on the other side. You stop being afraid of yourself. You stop needing distraction because presence stops feeling like punishment. You stop performing because there's nobody left to perform for. Just you, finally meeting you. The discomfort you feel in meditation isn't the practice failing, it's the practice working. It's showing you what you've been running from so you can finally stop running. And in that stopping, in that uncomfortable, unglamorous, deeply human stopping, you find something you've been searching for in every distraction, every achievement, every relationship. The capacity to be with yourself without needing to escape. That's not calm, that's power. In tomorrow's video, we'll explore why the people who claim they've healed are often the ones still running the fastest. Subscribe so you don't miss it. If the video resonated with you, hit subscribe. Uncomfortable Truths drops a new uncomfortable truth tomorrow and every day after on personal finance, psychology, relationships, and mindset and more. Turn on notifications so you're first to see it. The truth is uncomfortable, but it's always worth it.